Most videos of the Greendale and Brownhill Railway have shown just one train at a time travelling around our dog-bone-shaped main line. Here, a selection of Clockwork trains can be seen demonstrating the route that was designed to be short enough to allow most Clockwork mechanisms to complete a circuit of the track. Even the weakest of springs can propel a small train around one end of the railway, out and back to the midpoint, where there is a convenient spot to rewind them, ready for their onward journey. Bigger Clockwork motors can power heavier and faster trains like this Royal Scot for longer distances, and this interesting Walter Reamstick variable speed controlled Clockwork locomotive can run surprisingly slowly. This long fish train is our final Clockwork example, snaking its way back to where we started our tour of the main line. Live steamers running around the garden make a fine sight. These simple vintage pot-boilered locomotives are relatively uncontrollable once you've sent them on their way. The weather can have a big effect on performance, and the weight of the train being pulled is the main method of speed control. Having a fairly level, continuous circuit gives us a chance to sit back and enjoy watching the trains go by. We experimented with battery-powered Wi-Fi controlled electric locomotives, mostly using our Greendale rocket types. These are modified Postman Pat floor toys that were the original inspiration to build the railway, being roughly the same size as 16mm scale narrow gauge types. We made this double fairly variation of the original Greendale rocket, as well as a rail-mounted version of Ted Glenn's truck using a home-designed 3D printed chassis. We also printed Dave Watkins' 16mm scale simplex design to haul some peat wagons based on ones used on the local peat bog railway. Whilst it was easy enough to hide Wi-Fi equipment and batteries in larger scale models, it proved more difficult in O-gauge, without invasive modifications or use of trail cars. We converted a few locomotives, but by this time we're discovering that the batteries always seem to be flat when we wanted to run trains. The decision was taken to lay a third rail, using double O-gauge rail held in place with 3D printed chairs, to make it less visually obtrusive than a third O-gauge rail would be. We also installed electrical bus rails in the form of a loop of 2.5mm squared twin and earth cable around the route of the main line, still partially visible in this shot, to help maintain electrical continuity with feeds to the track every 10 feet or so. Insulated rail joiners in one rail create separate block sections for our proposed signalling and train control system. Track cleaning before most running sessions is a minor chore. We have found using an LGB track cleaning block is a quick and effective method. A homemade extension handle makes the job easier, and cleaning of the main circuit only takes 10 minutes or so, which is a lot quicker than waiting for a battery to charge. We can now enjoy running vintage 3-rail locomotives such as this Bassett Loke Flying Scotsman or Duchess of Montrose using a traditional analogue controller. Many of our more modern Tinplate locomotives have had DCC chips fitted. This allows us to run several independently controlled trains on the same circuit, as illustrated in this clip. The stationary pannier tank in the foreground waits for the previous train to get a safe distance ahead before moving off and gradually accelerating to follow the previous two trains around the circuit. Once we have built a branch line to a terminus station, more complex train movements will be possible. We aim to eventually add a signalling system to prototypically control train movements from signal boxes, and or possibly allow fully automated control of the complete railway. The use of DCC modules also allows double heading of trains and lighting effects, such as the flickering flames which you may have observed in the fireboxes of these two schools class locomotives. If you look closely, you may see the same effect here as William Shakespeare crosses the bridge. No doubt other effects can be added over time, but for now we are happy to simply watch trains passing each other, or pulsing by our viewpoint in rapid succession.